Understanding what student learning objectives are is very, very important, not only for creating your dream course for uh, technology applications for music education, but also when you become a teacher. Student learning objectives are goals. They're goals of what we want our students to know and be able to do. And we can think of these goals on a big macro level, such as by the end of this course, what do we want students to know and be able to do? And you'll have to do that for your course proposal. But we should also think about it in relation to smaller micro parts, such as by the end of this unit, what do we want students to know and be able to do? By the end of this lesson, what do we want students to know and be able to do? So our learning objectives are our goals for our student achievement, what we want them to get out of our instruction. So some questions to ask yourself. What should your students know and be able to do with what they know by the end of this course, unit, or lesson? And how are these objectives related to the national and state learning standards? So when you're ready to create goals for student learning, you need to think about a couple of things. The first thing you want to think about is, okay, well, what do you know about music teaching and learning, specifically the grade level that you're working with? The second thing is, well, what are the student backgrounds? Because that is going to make a difference about what goals you can set for your students that they can actually attain. And the third thing you want to think about are the standards that are already created. And learning standards are created as benchmarks, as kind of a level to say, okay, well, most students should be achieving about this. For more information about the National Core Arts standards, please view the Core Arts video. So when you're creating an objective, the first thing that you need to know is that it must be accessible. In other words, there must be some way that you can investigate if students are actually achieving the goal that you're setting for them. They need to contain three parts. One, a stem, and then you want a verb, which is your skill or your standard, okay? And then the process. So here's an example. Students will be able to, that's the stem, compose, that's the skill, a piece in ABA form. So what I did was I went to the National Core Arts Standards, and say I was teaching a film scoring course for high school students who have very, very limited music knowledge. I looked at the standards for the composition strand for high school proficient, and I decided from the creating processes that I saw that a very, very attainable goal for my students, for my population, based on those standards as well, would be for them to compose a piece in ABA form by the end of this course.